Hey everyone. So you might be in a position like you're looking at your trusty phone, the iPhone 13 that you've had for a while. It's been great, honestly. But then you see the new stuff come out like this iPhone 16 and you start asking that question. Is it time to upgrade? It can get pretty confusing with all the specs and numbers they throw at you. So in this video, I want to try and break it down real world style. We're gonna compare the iPhone 13, which a lot of you might still have or are thinking of buying used, against the brand new iPhone 16. We'll talk about the design, the performance, the cameras, basically all the stuff that you'd actually care about day to day. And by the end, I'll tell you which one I think is the right choice depending on who you are. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting with what you see first, the design and the display. Okay, so let's just look at them. On one hand, we have my iPhone 13 mini in this really nice red. Now I have the mini model, but everything I'm saying applies to the regular 6.1-inch iPhone 13 too. They're basically the same phone, just a different size. It has that design we're all familiar with, the flat aluminum sides, the diagonal cameras, and of course the notch up top. It still feels super premium, no doubt about it. Now let's look at the iPhone 16. See, the overall shape is similar, but you can spot the differences pretty quick. The first thing is the camera layout is now vertical, which is a throwback to older designs, but it's for a new reason we'll get to later. And then up front, no more notch. We've got the dynamic island. In my day-to-day, the notch on the 13 never really bothered me, you just kind of ignore it. But I have to say, the dynamic island on the 16 is useful. Seeing my music, timers, or the status of my food delivery right there, it's a small thing, but it's a nice quality of life improvement. The screen itself is also a bit different. They're both gorgeous OLED displays, but Apple made the iPhone 16 screen brighter. You don't really notice it indoors, but when I'm outside in the sun, the 16 is definitely easier to see. Both are still 60 Hz on the standard models, so you're not getting that super smooth ProMotion display unless you go for a Pro model. For most people, that's probably fine. So what's the next big physical difference? Well, it has to do with the buttons. For years, we've had the mute switch on the side of the iPhone. See, right here on my 13 mini. Simple, effective. We all know how it works. On the iPhone 16, that's gone. It's been replaced with the action button. By default, it does the same thing. A long press mutes and unmutes the phone. But the cool part is you can change it to do other things. You can make it open the camera, turn on the flashlight, or even run a custom shortcut. I have mine set to open up my Notes app, which is something I use all the time. It's a neat little upgrade. But there's actually a second new button on the iPhone 16. If you look down here on the right side, there's this new capture button. It's made specifically for the camera, and honestly, this is a bigger deal than I thought it would be. See, when I'm taking a photo, I can rest my finger on it. A light press will focus the camera, and a full press takes the picture. You can even swipe on it to zoom in and out. It feels much more like you're holding an actual camera. It's a subtle change, but if you take a lot of photos and videos, it just makes the whole experience feel a bit more intentional. Now, speaking of experiences, let's talk about what powers these things, the performance. Alright, under the hood, my iPhone 13 has the A15 Bionic chip, and look, in 2025, this chip is still fantastic. It opens apps quickly, scrolling is smooth, I can play pretty much any game from the App Store for 95% of what I do. It's more than powerful enough. It has 4 GB of RAM. The iPhone 16 though has the new A18 chip. It is, technically faster. You might notice apps opening a fraction of a second quicker, but the real story isn't just speed. First, let's talk about memory. The iPhone 16 has 8 GB of RAM. That's double my iPhone 13. And that's not just a number on a spec sheet, it's something you actually feel. On my 13, which is still great. I sometimes notice that when I'm switching between a bunch of apps, the phone has to reload them. You go back to Instagram and it has to refresh the whole thing. But on my 16, because of that extra RAM, things are just still running. It's great when you do a lot of things on your phone and need to jump back and forth. The other big story is about the new AI features, what Apple is calling Apple Intelligence. The A18 chip was built specifically for this stuff, and that extra memory is crucial for all the on-device AI processing, like summarizing texts, creating images, and all the other smart features built into iOS. My 13 mini sadly doesn't get most of that new stuff, and if you're a gamer, listen up. Apple is really pushing the performance of this A18 chip. This thing can handle actual AAA games like Assassin's Creed Mirage. And of course, the A17 Pro on the 15 Pro could do that too. That's not entirely new. But what Apple did with the iPhone 16 series is they gave it a new thermal system. This makes the phone so much better at managing heat. So when you're playing for a long time, the phone doesn't get as hot and the performance stays great. It's a really reliable chip for long-lasting performance. And you know what better thermals lead to? Better battery life. We all know that heat is the biggest enemy of a battery. Because this new chip is so efficient and runs cooler, I can tell you the iPhone 16 is a battery champion. It's a massive plus. Okay, this next one is probably what most of you are waiting for. Let's talk cameras. This is probably the biggest and most noticeable upgrade. My iPhone 13 has a great camera system. It's a dual 12 megapixel setup, a wide and an ultra wide, in good lighting. The photos are crisp, the colors are great. You can see some of the photos I've taken with it. For social media, for memories, it's fantastic. But the iPhone 16 is just on another level. It has a main camera that's now 48 megapixels. Now, you're not always shooting in 48 megapixels, but what it does is it takes all that information and combines it into a super detailed 12 megapixel photo. The difference in detail and low light performance is, well, it's pretty clear. The other thing that 48 megapixel sensor lets you do is a proper 2x zoom. On the iPhone 13, if you zoom, it's just a digital crop and quality drops off fast. With the 16, pressing the 2x button is like having a third lens. It's a clean, high-quality zoom that is genuinely useful. And remember that vertical camera layout I mentioned. That's to enable spatial video recording. It's that 3D video format you can watch on the Apple Vision Pro. For most of us, that might seem a bit niche right now, but it's a cool future-proof feature to have. So while the iPhone 13 camera is still a reliable workhorse, the iPhone 16 offers more detail, better low light, a real zoom option, and that new capture button to make it all feel better. It's a really solid leap forward. Just a couple more quick but important things. First, battery life. My iPhone 13 mini, being the smaller model, had okay battery life when it was new. After a few years, the battery health is definitely not what it used to be. The regular iPhone 13 has better battery life, but any used model you buy in 2025 is going to have some battery degradation. The iPhone 16 has a slightly bigger battery and a more efficient chip, so right out of the box, it's going to comfortably last you the whole day and then some. And second, the port. The iPhone 13 has a Lightning port. The iPhone 16 has USB-C. For me, this is a bigger deal than I thought. I can now use the same cable to charge my MacBook, my iPad, and my iPhone 16. It's just simpler. It's one less cable I have to worry about. Okay, let's talk money, because this is often the deciding factor. A new iPhone 16 for the base model is gonna start at around $799. Now, you can't buy an iPhone 13 new from Apple anymore, but on the refurbished market, you can find one in excellent condition for somewhere between $200 and $400. So you're looking at basically double the price or even more for the iPhone 16. That's a serious chunk of change, and it really puts this whole comparison into perspective. So after all that, is the upgrade from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 16 worth it in 2025? Here's how I see it. The iPhone 13 is still an amazing value. If your budget is your main priority, or if you're someone who just needs a phone for texting, calls, social media, taking great photos in the daytime, and browse the web, the iPhone 13 is more than enough phone. It's reliable, it feels good, and it gets the job done for a fraction of the cost. But you should upgrade to the iPhone 16 if a few things are really important to you. If you are a camera enthusiast and you want that extra detail, the better low light shots, and a real 2x zoom, the 16 is a huge step up. If you're excited about the future of AI and want all of the new Apple Intelligence features, you need the A18 chip in the 16. And if you value the little conveniences like the action button, USB-C, and the dynamic island, it all adds up to a more modern experience. So what's my personal choice? Well, as you can see, I went with the iPhone 16. For me, as someone who makes videos and takes a ton of footage, the camera upgrades and that capture button were the biggest reasons. And I admit, I'm a tech enthusiast, so I wanted to try out all the new AI features. But honestly, for the first time in a while, I can say that both of these are truly excellent options just for different people. You really can't go wrong either way. So now I want to hear from you. Which one would you choose? Are you sticking with your current phone, or are you thinking of making the jump? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, a simple thumbs up would be amazing. Consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'm planning on doing a full camera comparison soon, so stick around for that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.